I know full well the responsibilities that await me as I enter the door of number 10.
The result, I think, has surprised one or two people, but not the Conservative Party. I'm very pleased with it.
We have been elected as New Labour, and we will govern as New Labour.
I have just accepted the invitation of Her Majesty the Queen to form a government. This will be a new government with new priorities.
No, it's not a football match. It's not a football match. It's the second one of the leaders' debates of the standing Prime Minister for the next election. And the first one was last week, that was on domestic affairs. And tonight we're all here for the second one, which is on foreign affairs. So I'm here with a group of Liberal Democrat volunteers and candidates standing in Hackney.
If it's all about style and PR, count me out. If it's about the big decisions, if it's about judgment, it's about delivering a better future for this country, I'm your man.
I think David Cameron was stronger than last week. I think Gordon Brown went down the drain. He really failed to deliver on anything new. He didn't really talk about any policy decisions. I think that David Cameron focused far too much on domestic policy, on the values of the Conservative Party, and it wasn't a debate about that. Nick Clegg brought something new to the table. He talked about the future of international affairs for Britain, that we need to be stronger within Europe and lead at the front for Europe, and also think seriously about how we deal with nuclear weapons and climate change. That they tried much more to focus on what they have achieved in the past and what values they stand for, rather than what we should be doing in the future. And I think that was where they really fell down. So for me, it was Nick Clegg. I guess I first got involved in politics about 2 years ago, and I started doing a master's in international politics. And while I was doing that, I did an internship with a Liberal Democrat MP. I'm volunteering and I'm standing as a candidate with the Liberal Democrats. So I'm standing as a candidate for a local councillor. But I think everybody who's been involved in volunteering has felt that they have become much closer to people in their local borough. We've knocked on unprecedented numbers of doors in the last few months and spoken to people who you would never normally get to speak to about challenges that they have in their daily life or the way that they live in their local community and some of the successes that they have as well. Most of our time, if not, kind of 2/3 or 3/4 of the time, is spent knocking on people's doors, talking to them about the issues that they face, asking them who they're planning to vote for in the election, and delivering leaflets and delivering literature so that our message gets across and so that we're really seen as a viable party in the area who people might want to vote for.
We've got to get our message across. Sometimes the media don't cover us as well as they do the other parties. So when people hear the message of the Lib Dems, quite often they do actually want to vote for us, and they do see the changes that we can bring are different from the other parties. But we rely 100% on volunteers to put that message across, and the more the merrier, and I'm really grateful for people like Julia to help out.
We've probably done most of this road so far. A lot of people are out because it's that kind of time of day when they're just coming back from work. But those who are in are taking copies of the local manifesto. I think they're tending to be quite strong Labour supporters on this road, so they're not being overly positive, but there's still a long way to go and we'll be out for another couple of hours.
Fitting for the start, you twist into our love apart your life.
The Liberal Democrats, I think, particularly appeal to me because I used to be a very strong Labour supporter, and after Iraq I just felt that I couldn't support them anymore wholeheartedly, and then again with ID cards and with tuition top-up fees felt that what was old Labour no longer represented what I felt was strong or was significant for me.
Vote to give this country the hope, the optimism and the change we need. Together we can build a stronger, better country.
Vote for the future you want, not the future that the politicians tell you you should want. Vote for what you want for you and your family. Aim high.
We are the only party with a serious plan for the future. Please make sure that you come out and come home to Labour.
7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, people are queuing to vote. So I've no idea what the result's going to be, but at least everyone is energised and people are coming out to vote, and people voting for the first time, people aged 25, 35, 40, saying, I've never voted before, I'm going to vote this time for a change. So fingers crossed, just going to go and get some more people to go out and vote. Thanks.
Vote for a better future for our children. Vote Liberal Democrat.
Vote for jobs, for reduced crime, for the environment.
Come on.
Our optimistic hope for this election on Thursday would be a balanced or hung parliament with the Liberal Democrats taking a significant role in that parliament. I think it's time that we empower. I think people need to have Liberal Democrat views and policies put into place in order to move Britain forward. However, we are in the middle of a genuinely global financial crisis and recession, and whoever comes into power next is not going to be electable for the next 10 or 20 years after that. And in terms of wanting the Liberal Democrats to continue and have a very strong presence in British politics, I would say that actually what we're looking for from my perspective, and this isn't from the Liberal Democrats' perspective, this is from mine, would be a Conservative government swiftly followed by a currency crisis, followed by another election which the Liberal Democrats would win. But I don't know how feasible that is. We'll see.
It's been the most exciting, unpredictable election for a generation. Over the next few hours, we'll discover what's happened. Welcome to election night here on the BBC. And this is what we're saying. It's going to be a hung parliament with the Conservatives as the largest party.
I've informed the Queen's private secretary that it's my intention to tender my resignation to the Queen.
In terms of the future, our country has a hung parliament where no party has an overall majority.
In terms of the result of the election, I think what it showed is that although the Tories had the most seats and a lot of people saw them as being the victors and the rightful owners to be able to lead a government, the way I see it is that we had 53% of people voting either for Labour or the Liberal Democrats, which shows that we are still a kind of centre-left country as a population. And that percentage of the vote that voted either with the Lib Dems or Labour isn't represented in who governs the country, and I think that is something that hopefully the Liberal Democrats, now being in a coalition, will address in terms of putting forward a referendum to alter the voting system so that it is more representative of how the popular vote goes, which it definitely hasn't been in this election.